right, so the NBA draft happened last night. I'm a Jazz fan, so that's like a pretty big deal for scrub teams like mine. And as a Jazz fan, it was a pretty interesting retrospective look. Why did I just say that word, retrospective? That didn't even make any sense. Uh, in retrospect, as a Jazz fan, these last couple of weeks have been interesting because the AJ DeBanza, Darryn Peterson, Cam Boozer sweepstakes, I guess. We had the second overall pick. The Wizards had the first pick. We were basically battling to see who was gonna get AJ. Everybody wants AJ, obviously, but they were trying to like make it seem like he wasn't gonna get picked. And Darryn Peterson, he came out and said that he didn't want to play for the Jazz. You know, he does what everybody does. He does what everybody does. They don't want to play for us. It's Utah. I get it. I totally get it. I understand, Darryn. He said that, and I thought we weren't gonna pick him. I thought we were gonna respect his wishes. But then, like the next day, he's talking about, I met with Utah. Everything's fine. Yeah, well, I would be happy to go anywhere. So it's very clear that somebody came and spoke to him about being professional. He still doesn't really want to be there. I was coping. I was like, you know, AJ and Cam Boozer, they both have ties to Utah. Cam Boozer, he was born in Salt Lake City because his dad played there. I thought we were gonna pick him because his dad's in our front office. I was a little scared. I don't want Cam Boozer at all. But yeah, AJ played in Utah. He played BYU. So that would be, dude, the lighting is so bad. But yeah, AJ played at BYU. So both of these other picks have connections to Utah. I thought it would be pretty nice to see them play for us. I was coping. Darryn Peterson, I don't hate him. He's got a great game, but I'm a little afraid, man. Obviously, there was this stuff with him sitting out in college, being lazy or whatever. Whether you think he was injured or not, it's not a great look. I don't know. Motivation is a big factor. If you already don't want to play here and you're like the type to not be motivated to do stuff, the lazy type, might not work out. But if everything works out how it's supposed to work out, he's a great player. He has is there's a great we have a perfect spot for him on the team right next to Keontae. He can take Bryce Sensabaugh's spot, shooting guard. He fits really nicely with the team. He should be a good pick, but at the same time, I'm a little scared, man. I don't know. Today we're going to be watching Sporting Logically's analysis on the NBA draft. The 2026, hold on, let me start the recording. The 2026 NBA draft made no sense. So, 19-minute video, let's get it popping. Let's go.
NBA draft
have an overview. I don't really know anybody outside the top four.
Throughout, and a fun draft overall. Let's begin at first overall. AJ DeBanza to the Washington Wizards. There certainly were conversations going into the draft about maybe
this dude's named Tyson.
Is he a better roster fit?
Tyler,
ultimately, they go with
Tyrone.
the guy that I personally have had first overall the entire college season in AJ DeBanza. I see him as
I feel like it was Ty
like
something. I haven't watched him in a while.
Jason Tatum, which is a
the
really,
lighting
really
is crazy.
Exciting prospect if you're Washington and a guy that fits right into this roster now with the Trae.
Hopefully the sun starts hitting right
presumably
outside.
Staying, Alex Sarr there, Keyshawn George there, a really, really interesting team.
Keyshawn George, the fake Keontae.
And although there are concerns about him as a prospect, the jumper is
the Wizards are really back in
existence.
The Wizards have been out of existence since like 2010 when they got John Wall. I guess they had a good little stretch with John Wall, but nobody ever really took them seriously like that. And then they just went into play-in purgatory, always 9th or 10th seed for like 5 years. And it was like nobody heard of the Wizards. But I guess they're back. AJ,
what kind of offensive
see what AJ can do. AD's on the team. He's going to be hurt by week 3. Trae Young, they just signed him.
Shooter, certainly, but as someone that you're not positive.
How many games do y'all see the Wizards winning next season? I'm stuffed up in the nose.
Offensively, certainly those options are there, but this is a really good situation for him to go to as a rookie, presuming health. Obviously not the most functional organization over the last handful of years there in Washington, but him,
everybody
with all
knows
those other guys they have, is going to be a really interesting and exciting spot.
Everybody knows the same facts about the Wizards. No disrespect.
Is on the rise. Now, second overall, Darryn Peterson. There was some speculation. I personally
what does he have to say about this?
Second, but during
I thought we were going to take Boozer. His dad's literally in the front office, but I saw his dad sitting next to him on draft night. I was like, oh, I guess he's not in the room, not making the decisions.
was going to be the second overall pick. Didn't work out for Utah, only worked out for Washington. There's speculation there that he didn't want to go to the Wizards, to the Jazz, and would have rather obviously.
There's no speculation. He obviously doesn't want to be here.
Down to Memphis, regardless, for the second year in a row.
But you played at Kansas. What's the difference between Kansas and Utah? They got black people in Kansas. Should be fine with going to Utah. You got experience being in a different setting like this. We'll just call it different.
Jazz take a player with a top 5 pick, in this case the second pick in the draft, on a guy that probably didn't want to go there in the first place, and I respect it. Darryn Peterson is a really, really good player. I've seen people comp him to like.
We're always picking guys that don't want to be here.
6'6" Damian Lillard.
I'm hoping him and what's his fucking name? Him and Ace can like bond over not wanting. Fuck, dude, I can't talk. I'm hoping him and Ace can bond over not wanting to be in Utah, and maybe they just hoop out. That's best case scenario.
An incredible prospect, obviously.
It's gonna be a nice 5 years, Darryn.
The injury stuff with the cramping, with potentially asking out of games, as a result, basically managed his way through an entire college season. And frankly, had he not done that, had he looked more dominant, he probably would have been the first overall pick. And they're out.
One plan, one price. Introducing Simplicity from Verizon.
Yeah, this guy, there's a lot to be afraid of.
Absolutely were conversations about him being the first pick in this draft. Even
I'm here for it, though.
In college, Utah got
an
incredible player out of this class, and if he can figure out the health stuff and be locked in, he's going to be incredible for a Utah team that, similar to Washington, is on the rise. They have Jaren Jackson, Lauri Markkanen.
He's got Kobe Bryant
whose role I'm
potential, apparently.
To see how that develops now, moving forward with Darryn
I don't know when the last time Utah had that.
There's some questions there as well, but Utah's going to look to take a step forward, and Darryn Peterson's going to be a big part of that. To me, I certainly have some questions in terms of like overall competitiveness. Is he going to guard? It was just a weird college season for me personally, and the talent is all there, but there's definitely question marks, and I hope that he answers them early because he is an incredibly talented player that I hope gets to show that
y'all
at the
should have
NBA
picked
level.
him. AJ didn't even want to go to Washington. He wanted to stay in Utah.
Pretty much everybody knew was going to be that.
We had 2 top 3 level guys.
And it's just a really cool like team fit.
That would have been fine in Utah.
Alongside Zach Edey, Cedric Coward.
Oh my
God.
Should have gone differently.
Like
should have had AJ. I just don't know about, bro, this guy right here. I don't know about him. I don't know. For some reason, I thought he was a center. And then I just found out yesterday that he's only like 6'8". What? He's a 6'8" power forward. I don't know enough about this guy, man. You know, the Duke pick is usually a pretty good pick. If you succeed at Duke, they usually succeed at the NBA unless they get injured like Zion. I don't know. I don't know about this guy. Is this Nepo?
Like Ja Morant's probably going to be on the team. Doesn't look like they're going to be able to find a trade for him. And Cam Boozer there in the front court is just a really cool fit. He can do anything you want him to do on offense. He's a better shooter than people realize.
He looks so big in these college games. Hold on, move. Am I wrong? I thought he was a center. I thought he was the center of the team.
A really cool fit. He can do anything you want him to do on offense. He's a better.
He's only 6'8".
He's a better playmaker and passer than people realize, and he obviously can score.
There's no way.
Some athletic limitations, although
I'm bamboozled.
Are overblown, and overall, I think is probably the most ready-made guy of the top 4 to show up and contribute at a high level tomorrow on an NBA team. If you tell me that Cam Boozer averages 18, 11, and 4 as a rookie on decent shooting, I would 100% believe that. One, because of the situation in Memphis.
I was really like fine with taking him. I thought he was a center. When I thought he was a center, I was all right with taking him, man. I was like, yeah, he's got ties to Utah. It'll be cool. Boozer story. He could replace Walker because Walker's about to get traded. Or Walker's about to walk. You replace Walker, he'll slide in nicely right there.
A lot of excitement there in Memphis. They got to figure out the Ja Morant thing. It's a little weird that he's just kind of hanging out over there in the corner.
Yeah, he is 6'8".
Assets they have, and now a cornerstone player in Cam Boozer is really exciting for Memphis. 4th overall, Caleb Wilson. Chicago was just chilling on draft night, thinking, "Hey, we'll take
this guy is different.
Take any of the 4 guys that fall to us." Ultimately, the expectation was
I used to want him,
Wilson, and he's going to be.
But I don't think he would fit well with us. We got too many power
to watch
forwards.
all these guys. I might be most excited to watch Caleb Wilson out of all of them because he has the most oh my gosh, like surprise factor out of all these guys.
Yeah, I like the KG comparisons. I really hope this works out for Chicago.
And him being able to
they need a guy like this. They're kind of getting cast out the league too.
I think he's going to be a big part of what we see out of him early. Obviously, the defensive potential is immense.
This is like the highest. Like these names, they just have, even the names have aura, man. These like AJ DeBansa, Darryn Peterson, Cameron Boozer, Caleb Wilson. This top four, man. I hope everybody pans out,
There was an
honestly.
argument that he should have gone like second overall in this class. That's how
These
high I
Wizards
am on Caleb
fans got
Wilson.
me
I think
feeling
he's
some
been
kind of
really
way,
good. And
though.
again, I think there's some thought he
I
might
don't
play on the
know.
wing a little bit more than people think. Right now, he's kind of penciled in as a 4 and a potentially exciting one there in Chicago alongside of Josh Giddey and now also obviously Nick Claxton, who they just traded for. Really interesting pick for the
Whoa.
Bulls.
Nick,
I'm very
yeah, they
excited
do
for
got
the
Nick
team, a
Claxton.
franchise that just continually
How y'all feel about the
gets,
Giannis trade?
the
Miami, I
bad
need to
end
see
of the
some
stick
stuff
here
from
in
you
terms
in
of the
free
lottery,
agency.
where they end up falling. They're always right outside of the top
I'm
tier
so
players
tired.
going
It's
for
it's
these
so
draft
sad
classes,
that
which are
only
really,
the
really
only
great,
teams that
launching
exist in
pad
the
for the
East are the
rest
Celtics and the
of
Heat.
whatever they're going to be moving forward. Now,
That
after the
shit's
top four
lame as
picks, we
hell.
kind of going into the night, we kind of knew those are going to be the top 4 picks. And
The
the
Heat and
real
the
pivot
Celtics
point
have been
was
in the
who could go
playoffs
with
for
the
like
Clippers.
20
Obviously, there's
years.
possibilities of trades with the Clippers. Is it going to be Jaylen
Keem
Brown? Is it going to be
Wagler.
a variety of guys? Ultimately, at least as of this recording, we didn't get any trades until outside of the lottery.
I'm
There
not
were
going to
big
be able to
stars. There was
provide a
no
lot
this
of
pick going to this team, and so
a
the
lot of
Clippers
commentary for anything outside the top
outside
four.
of the lottery.
I'm
There
here to
were no big
listen. I'm here to
stars. There
learn.
was no this pick going to this team. And so the Clippers stay there and they take Keaton Wagler, 5th overall out of Illinois, who is definitely an interesting prospect. A guy that wasn't highly touted out of high school, had a really good season for Illinois, and is just a little Tyrese Halliburton-ish. That's a guy you see comp to him.
You don't even got highlights
as a
for him?
playmaker, as a little bit of an unorthodox shooter, but just
Whoa.
a fantastic reading out of
Jay's
ball
drawing the
screens. Just
Halliburton
a really
comparison.
unselfish guy. Is going to find his teammates
With
and
the
is a good
Pacers
enough
pick.
scorer and shooter to really threaten teams. And importantly, amongst the guys that were available here for the Clippers, fits well alongside of Darius Garland. I'm not sure that the Clippers were necessarily making decisions around Darius Garland with this selection. I think if they just loved Darius Acuff, for example, they probably would have just taken him 5th overall. And so I think there was just alignment here between we really like Keaton
I don't
Wagler,
really
and
know
also,
where
by the way, he
the
fits well in
Clippers
our
are
backcourt.
heading with their
And that puts the
franchise.
Clippers in an interesting spot now with Garland, Wagler, Kawhi. What's going to happen there? I don't think it's out of the question that Wagler still ends up elsewhere as the offseason continues, because I'm sure a lot of teams around the league, including some that might have a star or stars they want to trade to the Clippers, did value Keaton Wagler really highly, and still as an asset, he's certainly valuable as a possible trade piece. But for the Clippers, I think he was the guy that they should have picked to give them enough in both directions, where he fits with their current roster, they can keep him.
I heard this one was
He can be a
controversial.
developmental piece
He's
for them,
saying it was the
while
right
also
pick, though,
having a guy that other
alongside
teams value in a
Darius
possible trade down
Garland,
the road as well.
not
So
Acuff,
really like
Garland.
that selection for the Clippers.
Darius
and I'm very
Garland.
intrigued to see how his. It's not that he doesn't have athleticism, but amongst
All
the
these
guys,
guards
of course,
like
the
that
top
got
4 guys,
taken
but even
5
some of
to
the other guys
8
at the top of this class,
or
limited
5 to
a
9
little
or
bit
whatever.
athletically, and more so relies on that Halliburton as
It's just guards outside the top 4. That's
guard that
icky.
can play make and can shoot. I'll be interested to
I'm
see
good.
how quickly that translates, because generally speaking, we know pretty early on guys like that how well it's going to translate. 6th overall now, my Nets is Michael Brown. It seemed like they were down to, if Wagler fell to them, they'd probably take him. If not, it was going to be Brown.
He said he's
Some
done with the
in-house stuff
highlights
there for a
outside
little
the
bit,
top 4.
but over the last week or so became
Could have
clear
at least
Brown was
gassed
the
these guys
selection.
up, man. I
Nets
need
now
some
have
footage.
him, Yegor Jemin, who they picked with the 8th pick last year, Michael Porter
Nets,
Jr.,
oh
Julius
my
Randle,
God.
and whoever's playing at the 5, Noah Clowney or
The
Damian
Nets are in
Lillard,
no
it's a
man's
basketball
land.
team. Like, that's definitely an interesting one.
Nets are
Still
so
plenty of
bad for
other
the
moves to be
league.
made this offseason from Brooklyn. Plenty
When
of
they're
cap
good, they're
space,
just
other things to do as well.
using their big
Just-
marketness
Yeah, that like I
to
said,
get
that's a
stars.
basketball team. This is my team. I don't know what to think of
And
it.
build-
It's
build a
probably
super
like a
team.
35-win team in the East next year. But I think most importantly for me personally, I'm going to go to Summer League, and I'm going to be amped to watch Michael Brown play, assuming that he's healthy. He's going to be a really fun player to watch in Summer League. Whether that translates to the NBA level, I'm not sure. And certainly I would have rather had a top 4 pick in this class. But amongst the guards that were available at this spot,
Where are the
he has
foreign
good size,
players
can really
at in
shoot
this
ball, has
draft?
high upside as a scorer. And the
I didn't
Nets,
see any
for better
foreign
or worse,
players you
have
picked
actually
this
done a
time.
good job of developing
These are
players
all
over the years.
college
More
guys.
likely
Y'all
it's
remember
guys
the
in the
G
front
League
court rather than
Ignite?
backcourt players, but I'm interested to see him and Yegor kind of continue to develop and see what happens now
Scoot
since they don't have
Henderson.
their pick next year. 7th overall was probably the most obvious pick in the entire draft, the most telegraphed pick in the entire draft leading
Oh
up to
my
it,
God.
outside of the top 4.
Yeah, this is
And
one
it's
of the other
Darius
guys I heard of. I think I'd heard of like 6 guys before the draft. This guy and what's his name? The guy that went to the Hawks, Kingston Flemings. I'd heard of him before too. But Acuff going to the Kings. Kings about to fumble another guard. I don't know what that franchise, man. So many franchises that I just like. I can't believe it with these franchises. The Kings, another guard. They already fumbled De'Aaron Fox and Halliburton. Acuff.
to Sacramento. To me,
I guess that
I
means
think it's
Acuff is
fine,
probably
but
going
that's
to be
taking him.
good.
I
Or
understand
he
the
could be
concerns
like
about,
Davion
smaller
Mitchell.
guard. Brown's bigger than him, and I understand the pros and cons between the two. But if Darius Acuff hits, which I don't know if he will in Sacramento, that's a difficult situation. He's Kyrie Irving to me. Like that's who he is. He's Kyrie Irving. He is just
I didn't know all that. I've never seen him play.
Incredible small guard.
I just know he was supposed to be
fifth. One of one. Like that is, which I understand is odd because now I'm comping him to someone else, but that's the style of player I think about when I watch Darius Acuff. I don't know if he's going to get to that.
Now.
Imagine being able to build an app
Kyrie Irving?
just by thinking about it.
That's big praise.
Meet Base 44.
Skip. What the heck? Guys, my computer froze. This shit is so scuffed. This video is going to be so scuffed.
Slid so far in the draft. They lost the second overall pick on a coin flip. They had the worst record in the league with a month to go and ended up picking 7th in a loaded class and a loaded top 4. Acuff, amongst the guys available at this point, still had a ton of star potential and certainly is an exciting player for them to take here. It's Sacramento. You never know if those guys are actually going to work out, but they desperately needed a guard at this spot. Ironically, they're replacing a Calipari guard with a Calipari guard going from Darryn Fox now to Darius Acuff. But he's the guy now. He's the franchise. You're going to see what he can develop into. Can they get value for Zach LaVine, Sabonis? What are those guys going to be? Keegan Murray's there as well. Acuff at the center of it. He's going to put up numbers. I'll tell you that right now. Like there's no real scenario in my mind where Darius Acuff starts next year and averages like 12 points a game. Like he's going to put up numbers.
It's been a while since the Wizards touched my TV screen.
And we're just going to have to see it.
It's been a while since the Jazz touched the TV screen.
The Cam Thomas kind of territory or the Tyrese Maxey kind of territory in terms of putting up numbers early and then continuing to develop.
Maybe just for you.
I hope it works out because that would be really, really cool if he's an
that.
incredible player. As long as, Michael Brown is also really good for my Nets. But certainly an interesting pick and again, one that I think was pretty well telegraphed before the draft. The first real surprise of the draft, like those top 7 were definitely the consensus going in, and that's the way it landed. There was some, maybe this pick or that pick will get traded, a team will trade back, given, we didn't really know exactly what the
I watched this Mike Korzemba video sometime earlier this year talking about these crazy draft prospects. It was obviously the top 4, of course, Boozer, Wilson, AJ, and Peterson. But this guy, Kingston Flemings, was also in the video. I don't know why he was in the video. I just assumed he was going to be fit, top 5. And then Acuff just slid in out of nowhere.
We're going to do at 5. But the first real surprise here was Kingston Flemings at 8th overall. Kind of a forgotten player in this draft. I know a lot of people really like him because of his competitiveness, because of his leadership, his quickness, his athleticism. And although some of the measurables aren't outstanding physically, people really, really like him as a player. And as I said, he's not a great two-way player, but he competes, and he just that Houston kind of vibe coming off him, people really, really like.
Mike Korzemba, he titled that video the generational players of the 2026 draft or something. He was supposed to be on these guys' level, and now he's like a surprising pick at 8. How far did he slide? What happened?
For Atlanta, because if there's any team kind of in this range that he would fit really well on, it's that one, because they do still need help in the backcourt. Like they relied a ton on CJ McCollum in the postseason last year, and they have that defensive infrastructure with Dyson Daniels, theoretically Jalen Johnson if he ever decides to guard, a couple of other guys as well, where he can fit really, really well amongst that group and kind of be that backcourt player and creator that they do still need and kind of be under the tutelage of someone like CJ McCollum. That's a really cool pick. And frankly, I just assumed that this was going to be a day Mara once Atlanta got there, once he got to Atlanta, I should say, because either someone was going to trade up and take him at 8, or there's a fit for him there in Atlanta in the front row. They're a little bit lacking in terms of depth, but Flemings is really cool. That's a really, really cool selection for Atlanta. I'm very excited to see how he develops. Obviously, physical concerns. It's not like he's 6 feet or anything, but he doesn't have long arms. He's not super tall. You worry about that obviously with guards, but his moxie, his ability to read in the open floor. Interesting stuff there happening from Kingston Flemings, and I just immediately was intrigued. As soon as the selection came through, I was like, oh, that's really, really cool, adding another guy to that backcourt that they're growing and developing, and this is an extra pick for them. So it's nice that they were able to get that out of the Derek Queen trade from last year.
CJ,
but I would say the surprise of the night was 9th overall, Morez Johnson going to the Dallas Mavericks. I was floored by this. Like, obviously, there's the Dusty May aspect of all of this, where Michigan has their coach hired away by the Dallas Mavericks a few days before the NBA draft. You're thinking, okay, there's a connection there between May and a couple of Michigan guys at the 9th pick. Would they maybe trade back and take somebody from Michigan? And there was, I didn't I typically don't have my Shams tweets on during the draft because I don't want the pick spoiled. I want to watch them live. But he wasn't spoiling the picks, so I had my notifications on. And then he tweets before Dallas makes their pick something about Dusty May going to take a Michigan player here, 9th overall. And I'm like, oh, they took Demora. That's pretty interesting given their roster needs. Daniel Gafford, Derek Lively. That's certainly interesting.
I know who that is.
I mean, I can see that. And then they announced that it's Perez Johnson. The first Michigan player selected being him was not on my bingo card. Definitely an interesting pick. I'm not sure exactly how that fits with their current roster. What does that mean for the future of Daniel Gafford, with the future of Derek Lively? How does this guy fit alongside Cooper Flagg? And it's interesting how much where a guy gets picked can influence people's opinions of him, because going into the draft, a lot of people were really excited about Johnson in like the 15-ish range. There was certainly a lot of people that thought he was a nice kind of riser towards the end of the draft process. All of a sudden he goes 9th and you're like, that feels a little bit early. It feels like a reach to me, but I know a lot of people really, really like him as a physical rebounder in the paint, someone that has some skill, some upside, can continue to improve in terms of his finishing around the rim, three-point shooting, all that stuff. But there's a lot to like from a competitiveness standpoint, from a physicality standpoint, and if he can continue to improve skill set-wise, obviously there's a lot to like there. The familiarity there between him and his college coach, Dusty May, obviously is there as well. I would assume this means we're looking at a Daniel Gafford trade, and it's going to be Lively, Johnson, and Cooper Flagg as the front court there moving forward for Dallas. But there's a lot of decisions to be made in Dallas this offseason. P.J. Washington, Kyrie Irving, these guys that don't have connections at all to Dusty May as a college coach showing up.
They do have some untouchables now. Cooper Flagg, Derek Lively. No, Derek Lively's not untouchable. Kyrie Irving, Dwight Powell. Some untouchables there in Dallas.
Plus team that
other guys
has obviously gone through a complete transformation. No more Luka, no more Anthony Davis. Masai Ujiri now in charge. Dusty May now the head coach. And the biggest reach, I would say, of the top 10 of this class.
Wait, that's their new head. Who is that?
Be a bad player.
I forgot Jason Kidd even got fired.
Definitely a surprise, and one that, I mean, I was pretty surprised they didn't find a way to trade back and take him at 12. Maybe someone would have taken him at 10 or 11. They just wanted to make sure they got their guy. But there were certainly rumors about them trading back with Oklahoma City, for example, 12 and 17 for 9, so that OKC could take a guy they ultimately got anyway at 12. With Demora, but it's just definitely an interesting scenario here for Dallas to take Perez Johnson, and I'll be very intrigued to see how that works out, because I can see a scenario where we look at the Chet 1, Chet 2, a pretty big reach. To finish out the top 10 now, Milwaukee was just sitting there, and I bet they were ecstatic that Braden Burries was still there at 10th overall. I thought there was an outside chance that he might go 5th to the Clippers as this really intriguing two-way guard. Really stands out amongst the other guard prospects in this class, where most of the other guys are on-ball guys, or they're a little bit smaller. And then you see Braden Burries, who's like a prototypical two-guard that can play both ends of the floor, isn't going to dominate the ball. And I thought he made a ton of sense for the Clippers. A lot of teams, I could have seen Atlanta taking him. He ends up falling to Milwaukee, and I'm sure they were absolutely thrilled. That is an excellent way to start the post-Giannis Antetokounmpo era with a guy that maybe you're not building your franchise around, but you feel like is going to develop into a really, really good high-level complementary player, worst case, and then potentially even more than that. Beyond that, I really, really like that selection for Milwaukee. 11th overall, I had no idea what Golden State was going to do, because I felt like they probably wanted Braden Burries had he fallen to them. Felt like that was a real chance, and then all of a sudden Milwaukee takes him at 10. They're sitting around looking like, okay, what do we do with our roster here? Steph, Draymond, Jimmy Butler, and they just go ahead and take Yaxel Lindenborg. I think a little bit higher than some people expected, but a nice pick for them. Really toes the line between
all the Michigan players,
immediate impact guy as an older player, but also someone with like immense upside. All of the skills, the size, all of that is there for him, and someone that I could definitely see as a really, really good high-level NBA player over the next couple of years. The questions are some injury stuff, obviously the age stuff as well, but given the situation at Golden State in, a really, really nice selection for them. Maybe they would have preferred to trade the pick or trade back or whatever the case may be, but Lindenborg's going to be really good for them. Now you get to 12. I can't believe this happened to Oklahoma City. I can't believe they got away with this. Demora just falls to them at 12th overall.
This guy actually good.
I didn't think was going to fall outside of the top 10. I thought if Oklahoma City was going to end up with them, it was going to be by them trading up 12 and 17 to get inside the top 10. And he's just perfect for them. Like, gives them so much roster flexibility in terms of having more size in the front court to deal with the likes of Victor Wembanyama, just a gigantic guy, like 9'9" standing reach, just incredible size. and gives them all the flexibility they need to do whatever they want to with Isaiah Hartenstein. They could just decline his team option, let him go into free agency, and all of a sudden they save themselves like $20 million. They can just give Mara his minutes next year if they really want to. They could opt him into that deal and shop him around the league to a variety of teams that might need a center so they can get other value back. Just incredible that's the way that it worked out for Oklahoma City. A guy that I felt like a lot of people thought was going to go in the top 10, falling to them at 12 is really, really nice. And then at 13, Milwaukee picking, it's Miami's pick, but it's Milwaukee's pick as a result of the Giannis trade.
Seen
It's
a
a
lot
guy
of
that I
hate for
think
this guy.
a lot of people thought the floor for Nate Ament was 10 at Milwaukee, and they took Burries because he was there, because he fell to them, and then he ends up going 13 and going to Milwaukee anyway.
This guy, he kind of gives off Reese's Shea vibes, if I'm not like mistaken, based on what I'm looking at. I told y'all, obviously I don't have a lot of input because I don't watch college and shit, but watching the highlights kind of reminds me of Reese's Shea. I don't know.
That's a really nice package of players for the Bucks to come away with in this class, with we really feel good about exactly what Braden Burries is going to end up being for us kind of pick at 10. And then at 13, a little bit more of kind of a mystery box, all the upside, all the potential. This could be, I'm not saying he's going to be the next Giannis, but like the theoretical version of like why you took Giannis in the first place was all of this upside, all of this potential. And I think Nate Ament certainly qualifies for that for Milwaukee. Outside of that, this was a really strange draft because we didn't get a single trade, with the exception obviously of 13 going to Milwaukee because of the Giannis trade. No trades inside of the lottery is extremely uncommon, with all of the potential movement on draft day, not getting any trades at all the day of the draft leading up to it. And then some obviously in the middle of the first round is very strange. As I said earlier, Memphis moved back a couple of times, got some second round picks. OKC moved up, took Bennett Sturts. Detroit moved up and took the Stanford guard. But just really, really strange to see a draft that I felt like had a lot of momentum towards a lot of movement, teams trying to get back into that like 15 or so range. And then just none of that happening was pretty surprising. So that's where I'm at with the draft the night of. Definitely.
That's sporting logically, you guys. Tell me what you think about the draft. Darryn Peterson, high expectations, man. Please don't let us down. Please don't be a bust, man. Please don't leave us and then go hooping crazy after you become a bust somewhere else. Don't go to the Suns. Just, if you want to hoop for us, man. We're happy to have you here. Even if you aren't too happy to be here, man. I think you'll fit well with the team. I'll have to watch some more highlights of some of these guys individually. But outside of that, that's the draft. Catch you guys in the next one.